Hi, my name is Daniela Oliver de Portillo, and I am an artist working and living here in San Antonio, Texas. I am delighted to have been invited by the San Pedro Creek Culture Park and the San Antonio River Authority to participate in this year's CreekFest. Today, we're going to be working on a wonderful workshop using natural dyeing. We're actually going to be dyeing 3 shirts using natural materials like cabbage, blackberry, and carrots. So let's get started, and I really hope that you enjoy this tutorial and you're able to recreate it at home with your friends and your family. So lately in my work, the natural world has been a continuous source of inspiration and actual source material. Last summer, I had the opportunity to spend a week at the Penland School of Art and Craft in North Carolina, where I was introduced to the world of natural dyeing, and I've been experimenting with it ever since. So I'm really excited to get started with you and show you what I've learned so far. I want to start by showing you some of the colors that I worked on to prepare for this workshop. I have a lot of materials here that I used from my kitchen. I used red cabbage, black beans, lavender, hibiscus, eucalyptus, rosemary, saffron, turmeric, you name it. And one of the things that I wanted to show you is how some of these colors do change over time, so that you can be mindful that when we're working with natural color, we're working with nature, and the oxidization and just, the passage of time changes colors. So for example, one of the most interesting examples is hibiscus, which is a flower, and this has been seeping overnight in hibiscus, in a hibiscus dye bath. You can see how red it is coming right out of the dye bath, and then how it has begun to fade and even change into some sort of like blue or grayish material. It will continue to change over time. So it's important to keep that in mind. We're working with natural colors, and they tend to fade and they tend to change. But I think that's one of the most interesting parts about it, is that it's almost like your garment is a thing that is living its life along with you. So anyway, let's get started. I'm going to talk a little bit about the process for preparing this linen shirt for this dye bath. It's actually quite involved. It took me about 3 days to do the whole process. And there is a wealth of information online and also at your public library, where you can find more about this process. I actually want to recommend this book titled Wild Color. I bought it on Amazon, it's widely available. And if you want to really get into the world of natural dyeing, it's a great resource. So I've loved this book, and it was my manual for preparing this shirt. The first thing that I did is I scoured the shirt using soda ash and Castile soap. So I treated it that way, and then I proceeded to do a tanning bath. Why did I do a tanning bath? Vegetable fibers such as linen and cotton need to have tannins added to them in order to take the fabric. And in addition to that, all natural fabrics, which include animal derived such as silk and wool, and then the vegetables, which I just talked about, also need an alum bath. Alum is an aluminum derivative, and it can be actually found in the supermarket because it's used for pickling, something I didn't know before this workshop, but now I do. So I invite you to research that and to prepare your fabric really well for the dyeing process. Another word of caution is that you really want to use 100% natural fibers. You can choose animal derived or vegetable derived, but synthetic fibers don't take natural dye as well as the natural ones do. So this water is just below boiling. We never really want to have the water boiling. It is better for the dye stuff. Dye stuff is what we call whatever we are going to use for our dye bath. It's better for the water never to be boiling. But again, the world of natural dyeing is like a rabbit hole. So each different process has its own different set of rules. But for these natural materials that we're using today, it is best to just keep the water under boiling. So I'm gonna chop this cabbage up. This is like a cooking show. My table is moving a little bit there, so I have to be a little bit more gentle. I'm going to chop this cabbage off and add it to the dye bath. A general rule of thumb is that you will use as many grams of dye stuff as the weight of your fabric. I weighed my shirt and it was 275 grams, and I am going to just, guesstimate what that is in terms of the cabbage. But if you really want to be absolutely precise, you want to have a scale with you and measure that. It's fine if it's not, absolutely perfect. So let's chop this baby up. This is what I did with all the materials I showed you a few minutes ago. I chopped the lavender, I chopped the blackberries. Actually, with the blackberries, it was kind of fun because I just mushed them with my hands. So it was really fun and interesting. And if you're doing this with kids, I think they would actually love to get their hands into them. Okay, so we're gonna let that steep for about 30 minutes or so before we add our shirt in. Like I said, our shirt has already been pre-treated with alum and with tannins, so it is absolutely ready to go. And while that happens, I am going to show you what happened to the shirt that I dipped in a blackberry dye bath last night. I used the same process for the blackberry that I just showed you right now. And I also did some tie-dye action to my shirt. So we're going to be able to see what that looks like. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to take it out of the dye bath. I wanted to show you on camera what the water looks like and what the shirt looks like right now. Also, this is super interesting. The blackberries have turned almost like white. I mean, not completely white, but their color is gone because we actually extracted the color out of the blueberries. So I'm going to go to my water source back here and I'm going to completely rinse the shirt. And we are going to be adding some additional materials to it just to add more dimension to it. So after I extracted the color from the blackberries and I put the shirt in to simmer for about an hour, I turned the stove off and I left it to steep overnight. So now you can see the beautiful color that the shirt picked up from the blackberries. And I'm going to go ahead and put it in just water to rinse it out. It's important for the water to be cold or at room temperature, and there is really no rush for you to, go ahead and wash this shirt with soap or anything. So right now, what I'm doing is I'm just taking the rubber bands from the tie-dye off, and I am kind of rinsing away all of the blackberry scraps, so to speak, so that we can do some fun additives to it. We can add some fun additives to it and then put it in a steam bath. So I'm taking out this rubber band right now and I am just rinsing it in water. And you can see these little swirls that came out from the tie-dye. I'm gonna take it to the camera over there so that you can see it even more closely. So let's wring this, take it over to my other table. It's actually perfect that it's wet because it'll be able to take in the dye stuff that we're gonna be adding to it for the steam bath. And we also have another shirt that I dyed previously with carrot tops. The green parts of the carrots that you're always throwing away, well, you can use those for natural dyeing as well. So we rinsed out our shirt. It's wet and it's ready to go so that we can add more dye stuff to it to create, an additional design. What we're going to be doing is adding some petals and some leaves to the shirt so that it, gets, just a new dimension or just so that it gets more wild and fun. So here I have some samples where I use some saffron and rose petals to create some sort of like tie-dye imagery. Here we have some as well. Saffron. The saffron is kind of like my favorite one because it has, this just really beautiful yellow color. And this is more blackberries that, make a fun sort of pattern. Okay, so I'm laying the shirt down flat. I'm gonna work on the back first. And I'm going to be adding some rose petals. Actually, I changed my mind. I'm going to need this board down here. And I'm going to add a few rose petals to it. Just sprinkle it there. Perfect. And I'm going to use my little hammer here to kind of like flatten them out. This is gonna get kind of noisy, so bear with me. You can use another piece of fabric to kind of like buffer. There we go. It helps a lot if you add vinegar to the garment while you're doing this. It helps the fabric take in the dye stuff. Okay. Okay, and then some cabbage from our previous dye bath. Just using some scissors to sprinkle it. And this, what we're doing here is gonna be really subtle, but it's gonna give the shirt just some extra fun design. I'm not going to pound this one. We're gonna see what happens if we just do it like that. And then this is super fun. You're not gonna believe this, but the lemon serves as a modifier. So I'm going to sprinkle a few lemon drops onto it, and you'll see what happens. It's pretty cool. So first I'm gonna squeeze this lemon onto this cup, and I'll show you, for example, this piece of linen was treated with lemon. So here, this is actual lavender, it looks green, but then when I added the lemon onto the fabric, it turned into this like salmon color. And so for this one, this is a scrap of the blackberry, and it turned pink when I added the lemon. So I'm gonna add the lemon to the shirt in a few places here and there, and then it'll just turn yellow in a little bit. Not right away. With the cabbage, it does turn, the color turns right away. And I brought a sample so that you can see that. Okay, so What else do I want to add here? I'm going to add some leaves as well, some eucalyptus. Let's add some eucalyptus. And I'm just going to put it there and there. You really never know how it's going to turn out. So this is going to be just like a surprise. Oh, did you see how the lemon started changing? I don't know if you can see that on the camera on top or not, but you'll be able to see it later on too. Okay, so now I'm going to roll it super tight. Super, super tight. Kind of like embedding the plant materials as I go. I want to leave the front of the shirt and the sleeves kind of out for now because I want to do something different to them. So we'll see how that works out. Rolling it super, super tight. Oh, I wish you could smell the eucalyptus. It smells so, so good. It smells like a spa. Okay, for now, I'm just gonna leave it like that because I'm also going to add a few things to the front of the shirt. If I can untangle this mess right here. Well, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do that. So I think I'm just gonna leave the front of the shirt as is. And then to the sleeves, I'm going to add some blackberry. It's a blackberry shirt with added blackberries. So I'm just using my X-Acto knife to make slices of the blackberry. And I'm going to randomly sprinkle it all over the place. It's like we fight all our lives not to get food, food stains on our clothes, and here we are staining our clothes on purpose. Okay, so we keep adding the blackberries, and I'm going to add some lemon juice to this one as well. See what happens. Just a little bit here and there. Cool. Oh my God, so cool. And then roll. Just rolling it like I did the first time around. We're gonna make sure our shirt is super tight in just a second when we use the twine to prepare it for the steam bath. Now we have the other sleeve. And I'm going to put the blackberries onto it. There are some really cool Instagram accounts that you can follow, to learn more about natural dyeing, or if you just wanna see some incredible examples of it. Like the first one that comes to my mind is called Flora Obscura. And it is just like their stuff is so incredible, so incredible. And if you just follow the hashtags natural dyeing, natural color, you will be able to just find so much about this online. I think people are really getting into this world lately. It's just so much fun. Okay, so everything is rolled up tight, and I'm going to continue rolling it as much as I can to make this tight bundle. Where all the plant material is going to be kind of like compressed with the fabric. Okay, then I'm gonna use this twine to tie this bundle up really tight. Okay, I'm gonna roll it super, super tight. All right, so now we have this bundle ready to go. And before we bundle up the next shirt, we're actually ready to put our shirt in the cabbage bath. So let's check out how it's doing. It's so incredible to see that the cabbage has turned kind of like light blue by now, and the water looks blue. The water is blue. It's like, it's a plant, turned it blue. Okay, so I am going to be doing some tie-dyeing rubber action on this shirt before we put it in the cabbage bath. Okay, and so I have these marbles that I'm going to use to make these sort of like bundles like this, kind of like trapping the marble on the fabric and using the rubber band to secure the marble in place. This is gonna create a really cool design. I'm continuing to add these marbles to the front of the shirt before I put it in the cabbage bath. Everything is looking great with the cabbage bath. I'm keeping my eye on it because I really need to make sure that it doesn't boil. It needs to seep. It needs to, just stay in a nice hot bath, but not go too crazy. While I'm doing this, I want to mention a couple of great resources for fabrics and the materials that you need to mordant and prepare your fabric, and also dyes that you can buy, because you might want to work with some insect dyes like cochineal, or some plant dyes that are not found in Texas like logwood or madder, which are fantastic because they don't fade away as much, and you can use them to get really, really rich colors. So these two resources are Etsy, obviously, where like all the crafters and makers get their stuff. There is a wonderful online store called The Love of Colors, spelled in the British way. I've gotten their dyes before, and they're great, and they actually have these wonderful dye kits that are perfect for beginners, because they come with everything you need to sort of do like your first natural dye experience. And it comes with the mordants, it comes with the easiest instructions ever. So that is The Love of Colors on Etsy. And then the other one that is also great is called Dharma Trading Company. There you can get some silk for scarves, you can get some most of the dyes, and they have amazing explanations on what is used for what. And I mean, really, like a Google search for natural dyeing is going to give you so many results that it'll be quite overwhelming. But I did get a little bit overwhelmed when I started this whole when I started to get acquainted with this world. But I really learned that you just gotta jump in, you just gotta do it. No one's gonna care if it doesn't turn out the way you expected it. You can use it as your pajamas or whatever. But I have loved experimenting with natural dyeing, and I'm getting so ready to do silk scarves for all of my friends for the holiday season. I think that would be something just so wonderful to give out to my friends. So yeah, just dive into it and do it. It's super relaxing, super fun. And then you can tell people, oh, my shirt was dyed with cabbage. And they're gonna be like, what? No way. Here we are. The marbles have been added to the shirt. And now let's do some traditional tie-dye to the back. Because who doesn't love a little tie-dye action in their lives? So I'm just twisting the fabric. Like, you know, I think when we were all children, we did a tie-dye project with our parents or at school or whatever. So twisting the fabric over here and then just getting a rubber band in. You can always look for me on Instagram, and if you have any questions, I'll be so happy to answer them. My handle is Daniela Art Oliver, and you know, you can send me a DM and we can chat about this natural dyeing experiment today. Oh, and the good thing is that you are not gonna smell like cabbage. So when you're wearing your cabbage shirt, the smell doesn't stay on the fabric. So no worries there. No stinky cabbage smell, just an awesome, beautiful blue color. It's kind of like purplish blue. I'll show you. I have a sample. Last one, and then we are gonna get ready for this action. Thinking about the sleeves. Do we want to do something crazy with the sleeves or just leave them? What I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna roll them and put some rubber bands on them because, you know, I'm just super curious to see what happens. So I'm just gonna roll them up and I'm gonna use this long sort of rubber band that I got right here and tie it over and over and over again. See what happens there. Okay, tan-tararan, tararararan. All the knots are made. We're ready to put it in the dye bath. The moment we've all been waiting for. And I'm just gonna slowly let it sink in there. And I'm gonna set a timer for about an hour. I'm just gonna let it seep without boiling for about an hour. And during that hour, I am going to want to move it around to ensure that the fabric gets dyed evenly and we are all set. All right, so since we have to leave it there for an hour and nobody wants to wait an hour, I'm gonna show you what the color looks like right out of the dye bath. And like I said, these colors are gonna fade and they're gonna turn a little bit more muted, but I wanna show you what it looks like when I add the lemon to it, because I'm gonna do that to the shirt and I just love how the color changes when you do that. Sorry, I called it lemon, it's lime. But I'm from Mexico, and in Mexico we call the green ones lemon, and the yellow ones, we also call them lemon, but we use limes more than we use lemons. So lime juice, limon, not lemon. Maybe I just confused you all so much more. Lime, okay? So I'm gonna put the lime juice on it, and it's going to start turning into this bright pink. While it does that, I'll show you this again. I know I already showed it to you, but this is what it looks like. It's awesome. It's such a lovely contrast, and it's just, you know, this just happened because I added lemon to it. You can already see that it started to transform right there. So we will revisit it in a little bit. Now let's go ahead and add the dye stuff to our carrot shirt. Okay, so remember the thing we did with the marbles? So this is what it does. I don't know if you can see that because it's a muted color, but there's like a white ring around it. It looks so cool. And with this, the cabbage is a brighter color, so you're gonna be able to see that contrast so well. So anyway, this shirt was dyed with carrot tops. Those greens that we always throw away, well, you know, use them to make a nice shirt. I was also thinking that it would be awesome if you make placemats, like linen placemats with your food scraps. It would be so meaningful to use them over and over again. And if they get stained, it doesn't matter because it's part of the process, so it's fun. So I'm going to go ahead and get it wet, okay? I'm just gonna go back here and get it wet really quick and then wring it out. Getting it wet just kind of helps it take in the dye a little bit more. So gonna lay it down flat. Oh look, now the lime is really doing its thing. So cool, so cool. So I have some of the carrot top. I'm gonna add a few here and there. Vinegar. Taking a little break to move my cabbage. Remember to move it around. Check it out, it's already turning kind of blue. And I start to see some bubbles in my water, so I'm gonna turn the heat down just a little bit there. Okay. Back to the carrot shirt. It's so funny to call it the carrot shirt because it's green and not orange like carrots are. Perfect. I am also going to add some eucalyptus to it. With this one, we're just gonna go crazy and we're gonna add everything to it. We're gonna like throw the kitchen sink on the shirt and see what happens. So we're putting the okay. And now I'm also gonna do some flowers. I bought those like edible flowers at Central Market. And we'll see how they turn out. They were soaking in water. I heard that that makes it, you know, for more favorable results, so I'm trying that out, seeing if soaking in water helps the process. These are gonna come out, you know, I almost like to call it like little ghosts because they're not gonna come out as vivid as you can see them here. The colors don't turn out as vivid, but it's still really beautiful and it just adds another dimension to the design of the shirt. And I think it's just fun to try it out and see what happens. I decided I'm gonna add more eucalyptus to the sleeves, because what I'm doing is like I'm creating a difference between the sleeves and the front, and see what happens there. And then I was also thinking that I might use like one of my, maybe even this, or another of the fabrics that I used for my experiments, and maybe make like a heart or a star that I'll embroider into one of the pockets. So when you see the final result, you're gonna love it. And some rose petals for sure. Like I said, I'm going crazy with this one. I'm just gonna put everything on it. Oh, this is cool. That's gonna be a cool design. I'm gonna sprinkle some turmeric on the shirt as well. Turmeric is a spice that you can find on the spice aisle. So I'm gonna make like little clumps of turmeric here and there. And it'll turn out like yellowish, orange. And now, okay, I love saffron, and it's like this little, you know, like it's used to flavor paella, and it's just this little, you know, it's like this little part of the flower. I forgot the word in English, but pistil, is that the word? Well, anyway, it's like a part of the flower, and it really turns it really gives this bright yellow color that you just wouldn't believe it comes from that, but it does. Everything. Okay, I really put everything on this. And now I'm going to roll it all up and do the bundle like we talked about. So for the sleeves, I am folding them over once, like this, and then I'm gonna bring them to that. And then I'm gonna start my, you know what, before I do that, I'm gonna pound on the flowers a little bit. I think that's going to help the dye come out. So let me get my cutting board right here and my hammer thing. We ready to go? Let's do this. It's gonna get loud. I'm going to go get a plastic bag to put over it to help me pound it better. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and pound the flowers to get more color out of them. And I'm putting this plastic over them to make sure that they stay on the shirt and not on my hammer. Okay, that's good enough. Can you see what it looks like? It's so cool. This looks much brighter than it's actually gonna end up looking like. Like I said, it turns out, at the end, it turns out almost like a ghost image, you know? Okay, now we are rolling it. I just saw that I broke one of the buttons. That's okay, I'll replace it with, maybe I'll get cute buttons for it. Super tight, like I said. Keep it as tight as you can, okay? I think it's really amazing that we have the opportunity to have the Creek here in San Antonio, and to have the CreekFest and all of these things that help us celebrate nature and the outdoors. I am so thankful that we have that here. All right, now I'm going to use the twine to bundle it up real well. go around the whole thing to make it even tighter than I had already made. Oh, and while I'm rolling this, I want to mention something about, taking care for your garment. What I really recommend is that you don't wash it as often. If you didn't get a stain on it, if it doesn't stink, then just, hang it back in your closet, because every time you wash it, you risk of taking out the dye. If you do wash it, definitely hand wash it, and use a very mild soap like Woolite or Castile soap. But you really want to take care of your naturally dyed garments in a different way. And don't throw them in the washer like you would. Just because you want them to last. But the fun thing about this is that if it doesn't last, or if it fades away, you can do it again. You can do the same process again and dye it, maybe this time around with something different. So, it'll be, over time, it can become something really meaningful for you. This looks like a very hungry caterpillar, ready for action. Gonna tie that around. And this is what happens next. So what happens next is that I've prepared a steam bath right here. And I'm going to put these guys in for 2 hours, actually. And I know that you're gonna be super tempted to look at them right away. What I recommend and what I'm going to do is that I'm going to leave it in the steam bath for 2 hours, but then overnight. I'm gonna turn off the heat, and then I'm going to, you can take them out of the stovetop, whatever you wanna do, but I'm not gonna touch them until the next day. And the next day is when I'm going to rinse them and discover what happened with the dye stuff that I added onto the fabric. So now we have 3 shirts that we are going to reveal. We have the one that we dyed with red cabbage, and I'm going to add some lemon to it once I take it out tomorrow to kind of change the color in some areas. And then we have the one with the carrot top that we added like the whole kitchen sink into, and then the one with blackberries that we added rose petals, eucalyptus, and more blackberries too. I'm super excited with how these turned out. They are so beautiful. You can pair them with a skirt or a pair of jeans and sneakers. And they're definitely going to be conversation starters for you, conversation pieces. And you're gonna be so excited to tell everyone that you dyed these pieces in a sustainable way, and that you use natural materials for it. Thank you so much for coming with me on this journey. Thank you so much for sticking with me as we did this crazy alchemy of dyeing with natural source materials. And I hope to see you around. Please send me a DM with the results of your own workshop.